One night you received an invitation, no details, only a private flight waiting. Not everyone was invited, only those with power. No destination, no questions allowed, just powerful names waiting. You weren't invited, you were chosen, and nothing here is accidental. Crystal glasses on the table, whispers behind your back, and someone watching you too closely. The doors locked, and you finally understood. You weren't leaving. You stepped onto the balcony. The ocean was silent, but when you looked at the window you saw it. A small red light, watching, recording, and suddenly you understood. This wasn't just an island. It was a system, and you were inside it. You didn't apply, you weren't invited publicly, but somehow, your name was chosen. No sender, no explanation, just a destination. The car was already waiting, like your decision had been made for you. You didn't ask where you were going, because deep down you already knew. Some doors only open once. The moment you stepped onto the island, you realized this was never a vacation. It was access to a world hidden from everyone else. You weren't invited, you were selected. And once you stepped off that plane, there was no turning back. They didn't speak loudly, they didn't need to. Power moves in whispers. Nothing was written clearly, but everyone at that table understood. Influence doesn't leave fingerprints. Power wasn't visible, it moved quietly, behind closed doors. And in that moment, you understood the truth. This was never one man. It was a system designed to protect itself. At first, it was just a name in a book, but some names carry more weight than they should. The deeper they looked, the clearer it became. This wasn't one story. It was a network. Power protecting power. Behind every connection there were private rooms, and inside those rooms, decisions were never random. Someone was always watching, not to protect you, but to protect the system. That's when you realize, this was never just a place, it was a system. The investigation was no longer hidden. Power had finally reached the front door. For the first time, the untouchable man was finally being watched by the world. Headlines exploded everywhere, but the real story was still hidden beneath them. Behind the courtroom doors, the story grew larger than one man. This wasn't just a trial. It was a glimpse into a protected system. The arrest looked like accountability, but real accountability doesn't end with one pair of handcuffs. It begins with the system behind them. For years, information moved quietly behind closed doors, far away from public eyes. Thousands of pages were released to the public, but entire names were buried beneath thick black lines. What we were allowed to see was carefully controlled. When information disappears, power decides what becomes truth. Maybe the real story was never hidden. Maybe it was simply protected by power. And when power protects itself, silence becomes part of the system. The investigation ended, but unanswered questions don't disappear. They wait for someone willing to look deeper. The deeper investigators looked, the more the story stopped making sense. Flight logs revealed patterns, the same routes, the same destinations, and names appearing again and again. The more the names were connected, the harder it became to call it coincidence. Patterns don't form by accident, they form by design. It was never just one man, it was a system protecting itself. The investigation ended, the headlines faded. But systems like this don't disappear, they simply learn how to stay invisible. Documents were released, but information is never the same as truth. Names were erased, black lines replacing real identities. This was never random. Connections were mapped. Power was built behind closed doors, and someone made sure it stayed protected. Power rarely disappears. It adapts, it reorganizes, and it continues, quietly, out of sight. The investigation ended, but systems don't end. They survive, they evolve, and sometimes they never face consequences. The case was closed. The system wasn't. More will be revealed.